Welcome to Trail Manners, the podcast so dedicated to mountain trails and running that they broadcast out of a 78 Volkswagen bus in the mountains. Who does that? Eric and Joel are your hosts and will bring you the trail life as you may have not heard it before. You hear about everything from gear reviews, nutrition to keep you upright and moving forward, and they'll even bring guests into the bus for conversations that you won't hear anywhere else. It's time for some running adventures on a higher elevation. The old 78 Volkswagen bus is fired up and headed to the mountains. Here are your hosts for Trail Manners, proudly representing the 801 with their passion and love for the trails. Eric Manning and Joel Hatch.
Welcome to the Trail Manners Podcast, episode number 100. Today, we're going to be talking with Mr. Jeff Browning. If this is your first time listening, then thanks for coming. The Trail Manners Podcast is produced every week for your enjoyment, and show notes are found at trailmanners.com. Come back often, and please feel free to add the podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Trail Manners. All links are in the show notes. Now let's get after it. All right, welcome to the Trail Manners Podcast, episode 100. It's kind of like the 100-miler, or for some out there that don't understand, the hundo, which we don't like. No. So we're episode 100. We got a solid guest, second time on the show.
Right.
So we're going to just get after it. So it's time for some words of wisdom and welcoming our guest, Mr. Jeff Browning.
Hey, guys.
Hey, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, man. Good to be back. I like being on 100.
Isn't that nice?
Yes, that's like appropriate.
It is, right?
Yes.
It is. For you. That's
my favorite distance.
We saved it. So if we couldn't get you on for this show, we were going to have to go like 99.5.
That was our backup plan.
It was.
It totally was.
Until we could get you on 100. Yep. So I'm glad it worked out for us because we'll just jump right into it. You're sponsored by Patagonia, Ultraspire.
Mm-hmm.
Who else we got? Squirrel's Nut Butter, Vespa, Goo, Black Diamond, Trail Butter, and Rudy Project.
Yes.
Wow.
So a couple companies you represent.
Yes, a few.
So do you have a few hashtags that copy and paste? Or I mean, that's a lot.
Tagging sometimes is a little, it takes a little time when you're doing social media.
But this is going to take a minute.
Yeah, but I mean, I've kind of, for me personally with those sponsors, all ones I've had, several of them have relationships for a long time, Patagonia especially, and Rudy Project both have been around for a long time. But yeah, I mean, all of them I use their products. Either they approached me because I was already using their product, or I approached them because I was using their product and wanted to be affiliated with them.
Right.
So most of my sponsors I've been with for a while, and I really like what they do. And I'm too old to play that game.
Oh, we'll get into that later.
I am old.
But no, they are. I mean, the sponsors you have are just a solid lineup. I mean, just
that's
going
who
down
we would
it.
choose.
Yeah, that's like if we had our choice, we could throw darts at a board. That's ones we'd aim for first.
Patagonia would be first.
First for sure. Right? Yeah. Well, I don't think they'd ever want to sponsor us because we spend too much money on them.
That's a good point.
So it's like, man, that's a big cash cow if we take these guys on. Right?
True.
It's like every once in a while we'll text each other, hey, did you check this one out?
Yeah, no, it gets dangerous.
It's like, I'm going to save up for that.
Exactly.
Dangerous,
right?
But even all of them, Ultraspire, who we'll talk about later in the show.
Yep.
Yeah, we have a giveaway.
Yeah, we do. Oh, he gave it away already.
I know.
So, was I not supposed to?
No, that's okay. That's fine.
We don't save stuff here.
No.
But yeah, I mean, all of them do. Black Diamond, great history there, with rock, obviously.
Yeah, that was my attachment to them was rock,
It's hard. I mean, that's like
the famous rock
They go hand in hand. Like you say Black Diamond to me, and I don't think headlamps, poles, climbing.
You think Rock Horton.
Exactly.
He should be the CEO.
He should be.
Sorry, I don't know who the CEO is, but I'm sorry, CEO.
Yeah.
Well, it should be Rock Horton.
I think it's Peter Metcalf, but...
Peter Metcalf. Okay, he should be CEO.
Well, no, but here's what they should do, though. The NBA has Jerry West as their logo. Black Diamond needs rock, like an outline of him as their logo.
Yeah,
good point,
right? That would be sweet. I would wear that jersey. The Rock Horton jersey.
He needs to be on the Mount Rushmore of ultra running legends, right?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Who would you put on there? Four people.
4 ultra.
Oh, man, that's so hard.
Too bad we're jumping in.
Oh, dude. This is like going to put me on the spot because I'm going to leave someone good out.
That's okay, but come on.
It definitely had to be Rock.
Okay, number one.
Okay, Rock would be one.
He's leading it, right?
Yeah, he'd lead it. He's just like, I mean...
He rock made out of rock. We're talking Mount Rushmore,
yeah,
right?
Dude, it'd have to be Rock. You might have to put Buzz Burrell in there. I mean, that dude's like done a lot of stuff over the years.
Yeah. Okay, we got 2. What about Ann?
Yeah, you'd have to put Ann in there.
Okay, 3.
And then we got to put another female in there, right?
Well, I just gave you one.
We got to go halvesies here. We can't go. We can't be like. We got to be politically correct too.
What about one of the gals from Hard Rock? One of the Betsies.
Might have to be one of the Betsies.
Okay.
Kind of giving it to him. I want to put him on the spot.
Oh, you're putting me on. Yeah, you.
I was helping him.
You should help me, Joel.
Well, number
here.
one, we threw him on the bus.
That's
right?
what's
so
so
now
great
I'm
about
giving
it.
him a little
give me
lifeline right
little
there.
Lifelines.
Okay, you got Rock and Ann for sure. Rock. I mean, that's like given.
Yep, that's
and then
a given.
We've talked Buzz.
I mean,
but Buzz is like.
I mean, if I throw a bunch of names out there.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
You'd have to like. You'd have.
What about Sweetmeyer?
I mean, you got to put Speed Goat in there, right? I mean,
yeah.
I feel like he's older than I am, and he's like a legend.
Right.
He's got the most 100-mile wins.
Right. What about Tim Tweetmeyer?
Yeah, there's Tim Tweetmeyer, right?
Right.
Like, how many top 20, like
How many
sub
times?
24s
How many
Western
times
States,
do they
like 25
win?
or something?
Yeah. How many times do they win Western States?
Yeah, like a ton.
Yeah. More than the three of us.
This isn't fair, man.
Yeah, it is. It's totally fair.
No, Mount Rushmore would have to have like 10,
like a
10
mountain
heads,
range, right?
15 heads.
It'd be like the 14ers, where you
Yeah.
have a bunch
It's like
of
Nolan's
You'd have to have
14.
14s,
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Have to have Nolan's 14.
There
Yeah,
you go.
exactly.
That
All
makes
right,
more
okay.
sense.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
He's
like,
put me on the spot.
He's like, you guys
Man,
suck.
that got uncomfortable
It's
right
like,
away.
You
didn't
guys, you guys told me what we were going to talk about, and this was not on the list.
This is not
Exactly.
on the list.
Give me my coffee back. But yeah, I mean, so one of the reasons it made it so easy is you're not in Bend anymore.
No.
You are
Yes,
in
Logan, Utah.
Logan, Utah, which
Just
is
up the road from us.
I know that's what's nice
know.
for
Yeah.
us anyway.
I know.
Oh,
so,
I'm stoked.
So what's the deal with the move? I mean, Bend.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
what's the deal with the move?
Yeah.
That was pretty blunt.
Well, let's get. We've had him on the show before. He's on episode 44.
Maybe,
yeah, we might
maybe
as
he's
well
not
hear-
comfortable telling that story.
Oh no, I'll give you the rundown.
All right.
Everyone should know. There's actually multiple reasons.
Okay.
My wife's family lives around Seattle. My family lives around Kansas City. My parents are in kind of sort of failing health. We had to put them in long-term care.
Oh.
So my brother lives there. So being closer, this kind of puts us halfway between both families. Bigger mountains, better skiing, better mountain running. Those were definitely factors to
Yeah.
moving here. Also, cost of living was a little better here than Bend. Bend's gotten pretty expensive. We've been there 17 years.
Wow.
Kids born and raised there. And you know, I think about things like, what if one of my kids want to live next to me? Can they afford a house?
Right.
So those kind of things come into play when you're a parent.
Right.
Especially when your oldest is 15. And we're getting close to college, and you know, everything. Oregon's a little more expensive. You know, taxes, everything.
Yeah.
So, you know, Utah's always been on. We used to live in Colorado, and I miss the big mountains. You know, the Cascades are great, but they are just volcanoes, and everything else is kind of foothills.
Yeah.
Unless you get up in the northern Cascades,
Right.
by Bellingham or something. But you know, it's still gorgeous, and a part of my heart's always going to be in Oregon. But I felt like it was best for our family to kind of make this move here. You know, my coaching business has grown a ton in the last 2 years, and I'm also a graphic designer, so my design time's not that much anymore, and it's mainly coaching. So, you know, that allows me to kind of live anywhere. As far as like, you know, I'm not tied to a town for a career. So we just decided after visiting Ultra, because Ultra footwear is based here, right? Icon Fitness. So we came here after Steamboat Run Rabbit Run last year, drove into the Cache Valley and said, ooh, I think I'll move here.
Nice.
Wow.
That's easy to do.
Yeah.
So we just started scouting it and kind of talking about it and decided to kind of do it. And we have tons of friends already in, you know, the Wasatch Front,
Right.
From ultra running over the last 17 years. So it's not like we, you know, move here cold turkey and don't know anyone.
Right.
Plus I have the connection to ultra here. So those are all factors. But, you know, just one, and out there, I think we were ready for a change of scene. You know, my wife and I've, you know, moved quite a bit, and we were just kind of ready to do something different, and this was an opportunity we decided we'd go for.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we're happy to have you.
Yeah.
It's
I'm happy to
awesome.
be here,
It's-
man.
I mean,
I'm stoked.
You're close to the mountains.
Oh,
I mean,
dude, I'm right
We
on the
pulled up
mountains.
to your place. I mean, that's the bad thing. We were driving up here, and we've been, you know, emailing back and forth, and I get his cell phone number, and I looked at
Oh, yeah.
Joel. I said, "Oh no." And
Yep.
Joel's like, "What?" I'm like, we got to sell.
Oh,
He's
I
in
know.
trouble. We're
He
best
is.
friends.
I know.
But yeah, I mean, you're right next to the mountains, so it's not going to take much to get to a mountain for you. Get on the trails.
No, I have better trail access than I had in my house in Bend.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Here.
a lot, too. I mean, there's quite a
Yeah, you have the whole Bear River range.
place to explore up here. You've been doing a lot of exploring since you've been here?
I did actually just moving. I had a lot of stuff going on, so we had a lot of house stuff going on before Bear.
Yeah.
I moved 2 weeks before the Bear,
Right.
and so I only ran like every other day. So I was exploring, but not a lot, and I kind of saved the course. Saved. I didn't run any of the course.
Wow.
I wanted to see it fresh because it was going to be my new backyard. Yeah, I mean, I've been starting to explore, but I've kind of been I took 11 days off running after Bear because it was my last race, and I got a touch of a sore knee. So I've been cycling. My son and I got out and mountain biked yesterday.
Nice.
I decided yesterday I needed to do something. I was feeling
Anxious.
not working out. But we joined the climbing gym, so we've been climbing in the evenings, the family. So back rock climbing a little bit. I used to rock climb a lot before ultra running took over my life.
Nice. Well, you have all of it here. I mean, you've got the rock
You do.
climbing,
Yeah,
mountain biking.
Logan Canyon's got some good rock climbing in
Yeah.
it, I think.
Yeah, for
Yes,
sure.
I hear there's good routes there. We haven't
Yeah.
gone there yet, but
And skiing's coming up.
yep,
Which you're-
skiing's coming up.
Which every time you brought that up, you'd smile like,
Yeah.
powder, good snow.
I like powder.
Yeah.
And well, Utah powder's well known, so
It's legendary.
it's going to
Yeah.
be way better than wet powder of the Cascades.
Well, that's
Yes.
not on the license plates in Oregon. What
No.
powder the Cascades? Here, it's like greatest snow on earth on our license plate.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's how proud we are of the snow.
I'm excited for ski season.
Well, you've got a lot to choose from. Hopefully, it waits a little bit, right?
The ski
Yeah, I'm
season,
ready.
yeah.
I want to do some fall exploring
Yeah.
still.
Well, the
Yeah.
colors and everything that are out right now
They're
are just
beautiful.
crazy.
They're on point right now.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
unreal. So,
Yeah, in the valley, they're all just peaking. It's crazy.
but like we said, we had you on episode 44,
That was a long
August
time ago.
2016 at OR, which was a long time ago.
Yeah, right after the double.
Yeah, right after that.
That's
then since then, I mean, just in 2017, I mean, we do our share of stocking.
Mm-hmm.
So just this year, Hagmud 50K, first place, 357. Coyote Backbone 68 miles, first place, 1136. Yakima Skyline Rim 50K, first place, 507. Red Devil Challenge 25K, first place, 201. And then it went south because you finished fourth at Western, not first place.
I know.
South. Oh my gosh.
1732.
Those dang young fast guys.
I know,
I
right?
know.
And then, of course, UTMB, which we're going to talk extensively about here coming
Right.
up. You had UTMB, and we'll save that, and then the Bear.
Yeah.
So it's had another crazy year. I mean, last
Super
year,
solid.
Yeah, I had a good 5 wins.
Mhm.
Yeah.
well, not
4
even,
in ultras. Yeah, it was good. I had a good season again.
even the ones that quote you didn't win were solid, right?
Yeah, they weren't JV races.
Yeah, not at all.
No.
So let's talk a little bit about we got into it before the podcast
Well,
UTMB.
Let's
right?
actually back up a little bit
All
and
right.
talk about that one that you did. What is it? The Coyote. Yeah.
the
Yeah,
backbone.
Is that the old race?
There's the official. It just opened the Coyote Backbone Trail. So
Where's
it's a
this
point,
out
It's
of?
a point to point in the Santa Monicas
Okay.
in Southern California.
All right.
It finishes at basically on the Ray Miller Trail, Point Magoo,
Okay.
and starts on the other side of the range. I cannot think of the state park that it starts in, but it's
Right.
a point-to-point 68-miler, very aesthetic, cool route. And it used to be there were 2 sections that were closed
Mm-hmm.
that they had to get an easement for,
All
and they
right.
officially got an easement, and then they got the race put together.
Right.
Howard Cohen kind of was spearheaded that, one of the race directors.
So is this the one where you have to wear the hat with the propeller?
You have the leaders have to wear a hat with a propeller.
I thought
and
that
thing
race
is freaking hot.
I thought that went
And it was
away.
hot.
I thought that race was like done.
So well,
right?
they've had all kinds of iterations of the Coyote races.
Right.
So they've had
Moon
like
and-
Yeah.
they had Coyote 2 Moon.
That's
Coyote
right. That's what it was
Foreplay.
originally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did 2 Moon. It was the year it got canceled at mile 78 or something because it was like 9 inches of rain in 24 hours. And we were in
No,
that.
thank you.
And they were losing the aid station on top because there was like 50, 60 mile an hour winds.
Right.
And snowing on the top 1,000 feet and raining on the bottom 3,000 feet. So it was that was in Ojai. So this is a different route.
Okay.
So it's been in that whole area
Right.
whenever they do these Coyote things, but Coyote always has a twist. like Coyote races always have a twist of something.
Right.
You know, they give away crazy awards, and they make you
used to
wear.
have like bowling
the night
before
before
or something like that.
Yeah, there's like costume bowling and
Right.
that kind of stuff. And then the propeller is based on whoever's got the highest ranking in ultra sign up has to start with the person who's who's ranked lowest on ultra sign up, and the person who's ranked top from ultra sign up at the start has to wear the beanies.
Like
And
you
if
have
you're-
to.
So if you're dead last, you have to wear the beanie. And if you pass someone
You
and
hand it off.
You have to
move
hand it
into
off?
second to last, you have to hand it off.
I love
That's
it.
pretty cool, though.
So yeah,
Are you DQ'd if you refuse to wear it?
I don't know.
You didn't take that chance, did you?
I wore it for half the race.
Yeah.
And then I stuck it into my back of my shorts.
Yeah.
Because it was so dang hot and it has no vents.
Yeah.
Anytime
Anytime
and
you
it was
come
a hot
come
day.
into an aid station, you're like putting it on real quick.
Yeah, it was like 90 degrees.
And it's like a wool cap.
Yeah, it's
right?
it's like not a vented trucker
No.
cap with the spinner on top.
It's
So
like hot dog on a stick.
yeah, but once I put that thing on, I was like, it's multicolored and it's got the propeller on top, and I was thinking, my 6-year-old is gonna love this. Well, he's
That's
5
right.
at the time. He's like, he's gonna love this thing. I'm gonna own this thing.
There you go.
So it was a good motivator to stay in the front.
That is
That's
really cool.
awesome.
They need to bring that back in more races.
Yeah, it was
Now
fun.
bring it
Fun.
back in more races.
Like that in the last place one.
I like the idea of the last place one. It gets them involved too.
Yeah.
Right? It gives them motivation to maybe move up a spot to get rid of that thing.
And hope they don't want to own it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's a cool. It was a fun. It's a fun event. It was.
That's
It was
awesome.
good, and that route was aesthetically pleasing.
Was it?
Yeah, I mean, you think you're in the middle of nowhere, and you pop around the corner, and there's some multi-million-dollar Hollywood mansion or something, like Hollywood superstar.
Right.
Waxing their Corvette.
Exactly, or Ferrari.
Their Corvette.
Hey, man, old school Corvettes. Jay Leno.
Right.
Yeah, but it was good. It was fun.
That's awesome. So,
Well, on to UTMB.
Yeah,
Because we got some stories there.
yeah.
So we talked about UTMB, and, obviously it's not all on ultra sign up. So we asked you the times. You finished in 22:55, which typically is top 10.
Right.
Right? As
Most
you said.
years.
Yeah, in the last 14 years, yeah.
So
It would
just
have been
the-
top 10.
So just the last
This year
little
was
bit.
fighting for 20th.
20th spot.
Right.
So
Deep field. Deepest field we've ever arguably we've ever seen in ultra running.
and as you mentioned, it was people who didn't fade or didn't
Yeah,
disappear.
everyone ran solid. Everyone had experience.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we saw 4 guys going to the old course record,
That's
top
crazy.
4 or something. So it's like super fast and, people charging and not really fading. So,
And the Americans
there's a little
did good.
carnage, but not a lot.
The Americans did good this year too.
Yeah, we had a solid showing this year. And I think we're just, we were talking about this earlier, but I think what we are seeing here is a kind of the labor that UTMB and International Trail Running Association has been doing with ITRA rankings and all those things. I think kind of came, and the Ultra Trail World Tour, getting all these elite guys to go to the same races and race each other, and we're seeing Americans racing in Europe more and getting more European experience. I think all that kind of came to fruition this year with this entry list of the men's race being super deep. Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, just for it to be that deep, for me to, I looked at the past times and said, okay, here's my target. I want to run sub 23.
Okay.
And I really wanted to run close to sub 22. I ran just under sub 23. And I figured, that's solid in the top 10.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
If I run that time, I'm going to be in the top 10 based on the history of the race. And ran that and got 20th. So, it was a little, I was super psyched that I ran that time.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was a bit of a letdown traveling all the way there and then getting 20th.
Right.
Obviously. But you roll on, you move on. And I felt like I ran well, I just,
happens when
I
it's.
needed to run like 20 hours.
So what
Right.
would a 23 hour got you? Sub 23. That would crack the top 10. I don't know all the times off the top of your head.
What was I can't remember what the top 10 was this year time wise. The 10th place.
It seemed like you guys were pretty bunched up there, like so close.
Oh no, it was
time-wise,
close.
right?
Like I was in 22nd coming off the last aid station, the last downhill. And I passed 2 guys and I was bringing it on the last downhill and to catch those two guys and pass those guys to get into 20th.
Wow.
So it was definitely a fight. Like there was jockeying all the time. It's just like Western States. If you faded at all,
You're done.
or messed around with your gear or something, you look around, some guy pass you.
Right.
So and those Euros, man, they're solid on climbing. Like I could catch guys on the downhill, but the climbing is where the Alps training is different because it's really technical and really steep all the time.
And they just have that available to them. That's their normal training,
That's
right?
their normal training, and they're used to mud.
Are
They're
they?
used to some rain, and they're used to moisture, and we're here in the West, and
We get
pretty
nothing.
dry.
We
it's
get like
pretty
zero.
damn dry all season.
Right.
Do
you think their mindset's a little different too? Like how they approach the
racing is a little different. You go out fast.
right?
So you need to learn, you need to be working on your tempo, speed, so you can cruise 6:30 pace at the beginning of the race for a 10 or 12K, and then kind of settle in.
Right.
Because those guys run really fast.
They
I was
do.
running sub 7 the first 10K,
Right.
and
That's fast.
I was in like 80th.
Jeez. So it's just a different, it's got to be a different mindset because it's
Right.
like don't go out too fast. But does that put more pressure? You
Yeah,
feel
because
like
you still need to go out fast.
Yeah.
Well,
You
yeah.
just can't go out too fast. There's
Right.
a balance. And so learning what that balance is, it's a different style of racing because most of the time a lot of those races won't go straight up right away. They'll kind of wind you through some villages so it's spectator friendly. So there's this like fast warm up,
Right.
and then you hit the hills. So just like, and also I think one thing that's different about UTMB, it has the same amount of climbing as Hard Rock, but Hard Rock's constantly up or down. There's not a lot of flat.
Right.
Whereas, so that altitude change is over the whole course of the race, right? Evenly, kind of. Whereas UTMB's loop, there's a lot of flat or very, very low grade
Right.
uphill. So you have to be a very strong runner plus a good mountain runner.
Oh.
So it's a combo. You can't just train one system. You got to train both systems. You got to train your speed and you got to train your climbing because when you do hit the climbs, they're steep. So all that 33,000 feet of climbing is sandwiched into less mileage than say a race like Hard Rock.
Right.
Right. So I think that's one thing that really hit home to me is that when there's runnable stuff, you got to be able to run really well.
Right.
Like marathon trained.
Was this your first time over there doing UTMB?
Second time. I was there in 2015.
Okay.
It's my only DNF in my career.
Oh.
I rolled my ankle at mile 17, and I limped to core my air and dropped
Right.
at like 47.
Right.
So I limped 50K on it and tried to keep going, but it was like so swollen. I was limping, and I couldn't even really run, and I finally dropped. It was really hard to drop, but...
So when you did it in 2015, did you take away that mental note? I need to train specifically for this so I can run the low grade stuff, and then
I did, but I don't think I trained my speed system enough this year.
Right.
Going into it, I just coming off Western States, sometimes coming off a race and going back into another race, and I coached a camp with Carl Meltzer at Colorado Running Ranch for the peak, so I was in the San Juan, so I had tons of climbing, but no fast running during that time,
Right.
because I was there, and you can't really run tempo work at 11,000, 12,000 feet.
That's hard to do, right?
Yeah.
so because kind of what you're saying. I mean, in trail running or ultra races, there's kind of those two disciplines, right? You've got like a Hard Rock, where
Yeah.
it's you're climbing, not running,
Climbing.
But then you have like a Western, which is more runnable.
Yeah, you need speed.
Yeah.
So you got kind of the two different types. You got to train differently, realistically, for both those
So
races.
we really don't have anything like that here.
Yeah, so like
trying to think
UTMB, is there
offhand.
anything compared? I mean, I know not like the majesty and the climb, but is there anything that's like lots of climb but also running that could correlate here?
I'm trying to think if there's anything. I can't think of anything, but I mean, the thing I kind of like, the Alps running, especially UTMB, is a lot like a mixture of like East Coast technical
Oh,
mixed with
really?
Hard Rock.
Okay.
So
It's a lot of rocks.
really rooty, rocky. When it is technical, it's really technical, and then there's some buff sections on the Italian side that are like, you need to be like, it's like buff single track with like little teeny tiny like technical sections, that are like 10 feet.
Right.
You like dance through it like 3 steps, and then you're running solid again for a
Right.
while. So you're running fast. You need to be able to like pick it up and put it down.
Nice.
And then that whole at 100K, kind of where Francois made his move on Walmsley and Killian, kind coming off of Grand Col Ferret. That's all really runnable. There's some technical sections, but it's pretty runnable. I mean, it was muddy in some spots, but it's very runnable downhill. Kind of pretty buff single track. And so there are sections like that where you're just like, you need to be able to run really fast and well, but handle that kind of pounding downhill too. So you got to have all the tools at UTMB.
Yeah.
You can't just be a good mountain runner
Right.
or, a good power hiker. You got to be able to run uphill. You got to be able to power hike really steep technical stuff. You got to be able to run really technical, muddy, rooty, rocky stuff. You got to be able to run, roads fast, so it's definitely the mix.
And that's where like going and being a quote unquote veteran of UTMB even adds that much more, right?
I think so. If
it.
you look at somebody like Tim Tolfson who got on the podium, like he's been over there training for a while, and he races in Europe some more than he races in. We hardly hear about him in the U.S. Right?
Right.
He did Speed Goat, but you don't hear about him much over here. He's over there racing, and he's over there training. He was there early training, so he's very used to that terrain. Very, what we call specificity of training. And I think it shows. He's an awesome runner, and he's fast, and he comes from a marathon background, so he's got good leg speed, right? He's got good, fast leg speed, so he can hang at the beginning and stay within contact, but not be up front. And he ran really smart.
Yeah.
He did.
And so I think that, he's probably, his performance at UTMB was very impressive.
Well, I mean, like you said, just how deep that field is. We talk about different races all the time. We kind of like some of the bigger ones, and we say, okay, here's our top 3, here's
our top 5.
But I mean, you look at that UTMB start list, and it's like, and anything can happen in a race like that because we've seen it over the years. But it's like,
you can
holy
go
cow.
50 deep on that one.
Yeah, it's like this like 15 to 20 people realistically had
Could
a chance to win it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah,
outside of that,
Yeah, I mean, it's
And
the
then there's
deepest
always-
field, like I said, deepest field we've ever seen in ultra
Right.
running. I
And
mean,
then-
we kind of saw history this year.
Do you see that trending that direction going forward? Like
I
every
do.
year, it's just going to keep adding to it?
I think so. And I think that there's so much, anyone who kind of poo-poos UTMB, like, you should go run it just to experience how the Europeans approach ultra running and why they can, because they don't have permit issues like we do in the U.S.
That's
right?
true.
We have limit on numbers because we're doing them in national forests, right?
right.
And those permits have kind of a cap of what they can handle. Whereas there, they don't have a cap, so they can just and they have easier access in the mountains there because they live in the mountains, there's villages in the mountains.
Right.
So those villages can kind of embrace the race. And so it's a very spectator-friendly sport, but it's also a big sport, right? Mountain running there is, the tradition in the Alps is way deeper just because there's been, civilization there a lot longer.
Right.
And there's a mountain culture there that's really ingrained, and it's cool to experience. And I would recommend anyone, if you can get the points, go run it once and get it off your bucket list, because it's a sweet race just to experience like how big and how, like, if you want to know what it's like to be in like the Tour de France, a taste of the Tour de France, then you go run UTMB as an ultra runner, and it's kind of like that. You got helicopters with cameras on Eurosport TV, and just 10 people deep watching the race on both sides as you leave and as you come back into the city and go through the villages.
Cool.
That's the part that's like just online that's exciting to watch, right? When they have like little videos and you just see the finish shoot and the winners weaving and high-fiving and people
it's
going
exciting,
nuts.
man. I mean, and it's that way through every village and during the night. I mean, there's one time in the middle of the night, I'm going up over one of the passes, one of the cols, and it was snowing. So it's like 45-degree blowing snow. It's not really sticking, but it's just blowing hard snow in the middle of the night. And I go up over a pass, rocky, gnarly, like this little like kind of drainage crossing. And there's like 12 Italians in like full-on alpine gear.
Yeah.
Hanging out, drinking wine, and they've made a tunnel with their arms.
Nice.
You have to run out of this ravine up through them, and they go, oh, as you run through. That's awesome. And then all of a sudden you're back into like hardly any visibility, and like you feel like you're in the mountain. Like, what just happened? Was I hallucinating?
Yeah, exactly.
But so you have stuff like that. You have kids out in the middle of the night, 2 a.m., like with big giant cowbells, like yelling "Ole, ole" right in your face.
That's what Beckstead was on. We had him on the show. He was like, that was some of his biggest memories, was coming to these towns and yelling at. He's like, wow, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, me and
they
Joel
embrace it for sure.
Me and Joel have thrown out so many times that we're ready to be someone's entourage.
Oh no, we want to be interns.
We want to be interns. That's
we
what
want to
it
be
is.
UTMB interns.
Yeah, next year.
That's how we're trying to spin it for next year.
Yeah. So it's like an Indiegogo now is what we know how to do or something. To go over there and cover it and just be a part of it.
It's awesome, man. It's just great to hang out. That whole week is fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it's electric.
Yeah.
And it's a cool event. And I think we have the chance to have some of that here. I think, one race in particular, I think, has the opportunity to do something like it, because they don't have the permit issues that a lot of races do. As big of a permit cap is like Run Rabbit Run, and with the purse.
Yeah, they just put a whammy on their purse. Like they announced.
Yeah,
so
for the team thing.
For the team thing.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
trying.
I've
still
run that
trying
race
to figure
3
that
times.
out.
I love that race. I mean, the course it's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but there's a section on Buffalo Pass Road that they're going to replace with single track.
Oh.
That turn around and like goes down to 100K and back up, like up to 80. It's like 52 to 80. That used to be like kind of mostly a road, like 7 miles over kind of double 4-wheel drive road, and then onto single track. That section, I guess there's a new trail.
Oh, that's great.
So I think they're going to replace that, so it'll be mostly single track.
That will be
Is that
good.
something that because this is new and we haven't talked to a lot of people about? Is that something, that team thing? Have you a chance to see it? Is that something that's interesting to someone like you?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it's cool because it's the idea is that it's 2 men, 1 woman, and you take the top the woman time plus the top male time. So one of the times gets thrown out.
Yep.
Right.
Of the three
slowest,
team,
basically.
The slowest. Yeah, the slowest of the 2 guys. And if you look at it, like numbers that enter races and ultras, it's about 2/3 men, 1/3 women. So, he has a lot of times has enough trouble getting enough women to enter the elite race even. So, or the hares. So, like that one's I think reflecting the entries.
Right. That's why
what
they
they
set it
get.
up that
That's
way.
why I set it up 1 to 2 ratio.
Okay.
But I think it's really cool. I think I think Fred's got some good ideas there, and for the U.S. at least, and it's that's the biggest purse in ultra running. So
Yeah, it's
It
pretty
is.
big.
It's huge.
Yeah.
You can come out of there with a good
yeah,
payday.
and they pay 7 deep.
Yeah.
For the hares. So for me going there, that's why I like to go there. It's just like, plus you get a master's preem if you're the first masters. So.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of
I
reasons
like to chase
go
the
there.
money.
I know.
Why not?
Yeah,
You're doing
I know.
something you love, and if it fits
Yeah, it's
the
way better
schedule-
than going to Vegas.
Yeah.
You might get shot in Vegas. Unfortunately, that's sad.
So yeah, that's because we've talked about that, and it was kind of it's new, and it's like, I wonder if this will catch on,
Right.
Does
Does it have staying power?
I hope it does.
Does it have staying power? I mean, this year will be interesting to kind of see how it is.
Right.
I don't say accepted, but received. Maybe is the best word
and
for
and
it.
Man, going to Steamboat in September when the Aspens are changing.
Yeah.
It's a good time of year to go on vacation.
It is a good
Well,
time.
and I think
It's a cool town.
the other thing that's neat about it is that rabbit hare thing. So anybody can go and be a part of it, but you can be a part of something really cool, right? Because
it's fun.
Me and Joel are middle of the pack dudes, and we always enjoy rubbing elbows with the quote fast guys and gals.
The other thing I like about that, I know we're getting off on a tangent here. We weren't even planning on talking about Run Rabbit Run.
That's
but
okay.
One of the things I like about that race too is that the tortoises start ahead of the hares, and so we're passing them all night.
Oh, yeah,
and it's
that's right.
rare that we get to see each other during a race, unless it's like an out and back.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of fun seeing everyone else and just giving encouragement throughout the night as you're racing and throughout the day as you catch people. Being in the hare group, we were catching people the whole time, and it's really fun to see pretty much the whole pack. To see everybody. I think it's kind of a cool social scene too.
So let me ask you this: being a hare on something like that, does it kind of change your mentality sometimes? Because where you're used to running in the front, where sometimes there's no one ahead of you, or 2 or 3 people where you know where you're at. Does it make it a little bit different when you're passing more people? Like, I wonder if they're a rabbit or a hare.
When we go out in the front, I'm usually counting.
Yeah.
How many guys are in front of me?
But I mean,
so I pretty much know most of the time where I am.
But
in the pack.
Okay.
But there's sometimes where you think,
like you see a headlamp. And
you
don't
see a
know.
headlamp in the night, and then you catch them and you realize you usually catch them pretty fast.
Yeah.
So it's like it's usually a tortoise.
It's not a podium person.
Yeah.
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 They're not taking my money.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But usually by the time you're really catching people, you're in the second half of the race, right? And they're after like 40 or 50 miles. I mean, you catch a few of the back of the packers early on, but you start catching other people throughout the night in the second half, and by that time the race is starting to shake out, so you kind of know where you are. If you're in the money, you know where you are.
Know where you are.
Right. Yeah.
And so what is it did you say it's a 6-hour difference? What's the difference between the
I think it's a 4-hour difference.
4 hours, okay.
I think tortoises start at 8 in the morning and hares start at noon.
Okay.
I'd love to see him move it, because the hares have always won against the tortoises. So I'd like to see him move it to like 2 start. And that way,
a couple more hours.
And the leader always finishes like 5 in the morning or something.
Right.
So it'd be
there.
nice if everyone kind of finished it you got a little more running in the morning.
Yeah.
In the daylight, because you end up running that race mostly at night.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're in the front, so it's like if you're a hare, it's like all night
long.
dark. Because you start at noon and you only get maybe 6.5, 7 hours of daylight, and then it gets dark, and then you finish like right at first light.
Right.
Or like right after it gets light, maybe an hour. So I'd love to like see him move the hares to like 2 o'clock, so 6 hours, and it'd be a little more of a challenge for the front hare to catch the front tortoise.
That'd be awesome as just running the tortoise race, just to see how
Somebody
well you can do.
sandbags to the tortoise race.
No, just
right?
if you're a legitimate.
Well, usually
tortoise.
about 22 hours wins the tortoise race.
Wow, that's still
pretty
fast.
It's still
fast.
fast.
What's the hare finish time?
17 something.
Whoa, 5-hour difference. Huge.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Make it like.
Make
I don't know what the average. At this point, they have some data. So whatever that average is, maybe
Just
it's a
tweak
1 o'clock start, but make it like really close.
Yeah.
So like they're catching them like it's a race at the last downhill or something.
Oh,
See, I
that'd be
think-
so
see,
cool.
that's what I'm
There needs
saying.
to be, what incentive do the tortoises have to finish first?
They get cash.
like
the first tortoise gets
like big
cash.
time.
I think it's like a couple $100, $200 or $300.
It needs to be a little higher.
You
know what I mean?
$1,000.
Yeah,
be sweet.
That would
Which
be
would
good.
be sweet.
It would be
right?
sweet.
Like 1,000, 500, 300 or something.
something
top
like
three.
that. Exactly.
There's enough money in that pot.
But then, like you said, adjust it on that data.
Adjusted on the data that they have now because they've done it long enough
Yeah.
that you could take the average winner of the tortoise race, the average
Right.
winner of the hare race,
Right.
average that out and start them that much apart.
That'd be neat.
But so how are we going to make sure that we're not having like
I
so
think
like you?
No,
in,
here's how
in
I think
there,
it should
right?
be. I think it should be let's say 500 for first for tortoises.
Okay.
Say 300, 200 or something like that.
Is that because
and
they're
then you
taking
give
your
an
money?
incentive
All
for the
right.
tortoise to beat the hare.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So he gets an extra preem, like a $500 preem, if he beats the hare.
Yeah.
So he get
Right.
$1,000. Right.
See, that's what I was gonna say. You need to do that because as a hare or a tortoise, I mean, think about not letting them pass you. That's kind of another incentive. Whether you're 30th, 20th, whatever it might be, you just say, man, I wonder if I have a 5-6 hour head start,
If I can hold him off.
if I can hold off
Hold
the
off
top
the
hare.
top hare.
And that could be anybody in the tortoise race, really.
Yeah.
Let's see what they
It's
could do.
kinda cool.
Yeah, that'd
like
be a
that
really
idea.
cool idea.
Yeah.
Chase the rabbit, but be chasing the turtle.
Call this the Browning rule.
The Browning rule.
I like it.
You can and put that in there to section 9,
Yeah.
verse 4.
I'm calling Fred.
Call him right now. As soon as we get off, he's got my cell. No, that'd be kind of cool. But I like kind of going back to it. It is kind of like you mentioned, kind of bringing that over to the U.S. Right? It's the closest thing right now.
Well, Carl tried to do it with Speed Goat, right? I mean, that was really close.
Yeah.
Because you can get a lot of spectators on the
that
peak,
course.
on the peak at
On the
least.
peak.
Yeah, I have to go do that race now that I'm local.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
never done it.
haven't?
Well, it's just been, it's a long
It's a
long
long
haul from
drive.
Bend to Salt Lake
Yeah.
for a 50K.
There's a lot of local races you got to do now.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I got
Right?
a all new list of
I
local
know.
races now.
We'll
You get-
throw a couple on there.
Well,
for
I
you.
have all these standards that I've done over the years because, Rain Shadow and James Varner's
Yeah.
races and
Right.
all that. But now I've got like all new races.
You
that I
got to do
have
the
go try
Buffalo
out.
Run.
El Vaquero.
Yeah, got to
Yeah,
do
I
El
gotta go
Vaquero.
do that. Yeah, I gotta
Have
do
you
that.
done that?
No,
That
I
fits-
haven't done
that-
Ty's
That'll
race.
fit into your
haven't?
schedule real good because it's kind of just right in the middle of kind of recovery from Western States Hard Rock and then enough time before UTMB or Run Rabbit.
And it's close. And it's sweet.
And it's way close to you. Holy
Yeah.
cow.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
close.
I've been up there camping with Ty and his family, and
Yeah, you got to do that one.
Yeah, that course is spot on.
There's a lot of them. Hopefully there is a speed goat race this year in
good point.
2018. You never know.
is there a rumor that it's
There's
like,
been a rumor for a couple years, I think.
Yeah.
that it might be
going away.
Well, hopefully
Right.
it stays around.
At least
I know.
one more year.
Yeah.
So you can get out there.
Yeah, I gotta go do it.
Right.
That brings us to the next one, the Bear, which was just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, my backyard.
In the literally in the backyard.
I slept in my own bed.
Isn't that nice?
Used my own
Holy
kitchen
cow.
for breakfast. It was awesome.
I mean, from here to the start, you're what, 15 minutes?
Less than 15-minute drive to the start.
That's not bad
Yeah,
at all.
Luke Nelson slept in his rooftop tent in my yard and with his family, and then we drove over together.
That's awesome.
To the race.
How many times, this first time running the Bear?
Yes, first Bear. And I entered the Bear a long time ago, back in the 2000s, and I got injured and I had to drop out of it that year. And that was back when it was kind of the old course.
Okay.
The old loop course before he got the permit of this course. He really wanted, I know Leland wanted to have the point-to-point originally, but the Forest Service wouldn't give him the permit early on. And then after he proved himself. Right. So they work that way sometimes, and gave him the official point-to-point. But it's been on my bucket list forever, and it just never worked out on my schedule. And then finally this year, when we decided we were moving, I was like, I have to do it. It's my local 100 now.
That's right.
Like, I'm moving there. I'm going to be right by the start. It's my backyard. So, like I said, I saved it. I'd only been up the first 3 miles of the course on a training run up Dry Canyon, and then I had not touched any other parts of the course. So. It was all new on race day.
Well, let's start there. What was your thoughts on the course being your first? Because we've been on it many times. But
I liked it a lot. It's pretty. It's a good time of year. Yeah. Leaves are changing. Aspens are changing. Just starting to change. It's a good combo. It's very runnable. Yes. It's a good combo of good single track, runnable double track. I think it's 60-some% single track, and then the rest is kind of double track. Hardly any pavement in it. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the course. It's grindy and hard, but you got to run a lot because it's a lot of low grade uphills, that have technical rock footing. So you're grinding along, and you want to hike, but you can't hike right if you're racing. So it was good. I mean, I really enjoyed the race, and I definitely had an incentive to run hard just because I moved here, and and I think there was a little bit of unicorns and rainbows type feeling because it was my new backyard.
Yeah, fresh and new.
And new, and something to prove a little bit or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm here, Utah.
Yeah, exactly.
Follow me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, great day. 18:28.
Yep.
Which is the third fastest Bear.
Yep.
Right. First place.
Mm-hmm.
And when I talked to you, I saw you at the finish line. You said the first 50 miles, your legs were just...
Yeah, the first 40 or so, I was a little flat. I think just UTMB and moving and not a lot of sleep. I was, the day before the race, I was still dealing with house stuff, and I've got contractors coming in and plumbers,
squatters
electricians
out front in their tent. And
yeah, people squatting in my house.
Exactly.
And just all kinds of stuff, And so, there's a lot of stress. I was going to bed pretty late every night, past midnight, pretty much the last 2 weeks leading up to the race, with a interstate move in there 2 weeks before. So just dealing with all that stuff was a little stressful, and I think that's probably where the flatness was coming from. Because I was only running every other day leading up to it, pretty mellow. I normally would have trained a little more in between those two races, just a little 1 week block. But I got some workouts in, and then then it kind of started to settle in. I don't know whether it's muscle memory or all the years of ultra running and 2900 kind of says, okay, we're doing this.
This is what we're doing today.
This is what we're doing today. Okay, we'll buck up.
It's a good course,
It is a good course. And as I got into the Alpine section, going up to Tony Grove, I really started feeling better.
Yeah.
And that's where kind of, Jeremy Humphreys kind of went out in the lead, and he was sitting in a chair at 45, and Rock was crewing for me, and so he was just okay, you're in second. And he's Mark Hammond is only 12 or 15 minutes ahead of you.
Right.
And at that point, my legs were starting to come back. And I was okay. And I started feeling better. And then each aid station, I started gaining on him 2-3 minutes per section. So I was picking him because he kind of took off. We ran together maybe through 28. And then he kind of on a downhill just took off, and I was okay, see you later. I'm not going to run that hard this early.
Right.
And so I just kept plugging along. And then when I started, gaining on him, we got into where was it? Into the lodge, Beaver Mountain Lodge at 75, and I was 1 minute behind him.
Right.
And there, it was right at dusk. We'd just gotten dark. And so I was getting I had kind of emergency lights on me, and I got my real lights there. But he was doing the same thing, and so he was still in the aid station inside the lodge, and Rock and I played kind of a little veteran game on him and like ran in and checked in, checked out.
Right.
And just, I saw him kind of like... They kind of do a panic.
Like, oh man,
like his body language was panic.
Yeah.
And so we checked in, checked out, left, and then we went and crewed in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Crewed really quick, and then got my lights, and we both left. He kind of walked out, and I was coming out across the lawn, and I think he thought I'd already left. I don't know for sure, but we kind of came out, and I saw a volunteer pointing where the course went.
Right.
And he was kind of walking and kind of looking for the course markers.
Yeah.
And I was already running across the lawn, and it was kind of a downhill, and
Yep.
I was feeling good. And so I just was like, picked it up, put it down. I just said, "Hey, dude, this way."
Follow me.
Blew by and like gapped him right away on the downhill. And it kind of goes into a bushwhacky section.
Crazy section there.
Yeah, it's like
Before you cross the road
it's like
again.
sage brush, and you're kind of weaving and looking for flags
Yeah.
in the brush, and not really a trail. And so I'm across that bushwhack section. I gapped him a little bit, and then that goes into like a long, slow climb up to Gibson Basin.
Yeah.
It's like 3% grade
Right.
or something. You
The
gotta
whole
run
track.
the whole time.
Yep.
It's a long running climb.
Yep.
And so I just, it increasingly gets more technical. So like from there, I ran pretty hard and ran 90% of that climb, and then got up into Gibson Basin, got across Gibson Basin before I even saw him come into the aid station. And from then, he ended up dropping it at 83.
So
and,
was he injured at that point when he dropped, or did you just
rumor is that his
did
knee
you
was
just
bothering
crush him?
But my knee was bothering me too. So
I know,
I don't
see?
know. And I
You're a
kind of feel
veteran,
like I don't, unless it's like injury, like I don't drop.
Yeah.
I've only dropped once in my whole career, and that was because of the rolled ankle at
An injury.
UTMB. So for me, like I take time away from my family and I train my rear off. I kind of feel like I owe it to him to finish, even if
Right.
it's not an ideal day.
right?
But he could have like cruised it in for second. We had a
Yeah.
good lead on everyone else. So I don't know what happened. I didn't get a chance to talk to him. He was gone. So I just heard through Facebook that he might have had his knee was bothering maybe.
Okay.
But
Maybe
after
he's
Run
saving it for the North Face or something like that.
Well, and I'm sure it was a little frustrating. You know,
Yeah.
he had the lead at Run Rabbit, and then he had the eye issue with his corneas
yeah.
getting cold. Like, when you kind of go semi-blind
Yeah.
from, like, if you don't have glasses protecting you in really cold weather. He had something happen with that.
I didn't know that.
Uh-huh.
That would be
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah, so he was wearing safety glasses during this race, like kind of wrap-around safety-style glasses.
Okay, right on.
Because we talked about it early on when we were running together. So he was a little nervous about the cold.
Huh.
That's why he's wearing glasses. But so I don't know exactly what happened. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to talk to him about it. So I'm not going to sell him down the river or anything.
No,
if
for
I don't
sure.
know the exact story. But yeah, like I said, I felt good and I was ready to race at that point, the last 25. So
Right.
So leaving like that section where you kind of gapped him there, at that point, did you think this is mine? I just got to keep it this way. Did you?
At that point, I was like, I'm ready to throw down.
Right.
Whatever happens.
Yeah,
now,
whatever
it's
happens. But he's gonna have to like
Earn it.
He's gonna have to earn it if he
Right.
wants to race now because I'm
Yeah.
ready to race because
Nice.
I'd been laying back the whole race.
Right.
And just kind of slowly started gaining on him and felt good. My legs had come around and so I was ready to roll for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you look good. I mean, I saw you quite a bit after the finish. I was down there, but you look good. I mean, it wasn't like it didn't appear like you just ran 100 miles in
Yeah,
that quick
this
time.
it definitely the nutrition thing helps with recovery, especially at age 46. Definitely like post race, I'm not as swollen, not as beat up. My legs aren't as beat up as they used to be. So I think that's definitely a benefit of the diet.
So let me ask you that, because people asked me this at the finish line, because they know that we've had conversations, and they're like, I can't believe this. Number one, your time, super fast,
Right.
And again, this is not going to come across wrong, but 46 years old, right? And there's
Yeah, I'm well aware of that.
There's upswing of these younger, faster
Oh,
guys
is
that
there
are
an
killing
upswing?
it right now. Hayden Hawkses, Jim Walmsley's,
Yeah.
guys like that.
that are
just
really fast.
yeah, right. And so people are coming up to me like, man, that's like, they were saying that's inspiring. You know, it's like he's still getting it done at 46 because this whole movement right now, everybody's focused.
Oh no, the races are getting faster and faster.
Yeah, they are right.
And so you got to show up ready.
So this is like a serious thing. How, you know, you've had a great career. Obviously, it's not like you just came out of the woodwork last year and started tearing things up. But I mean, the last couple of years for sure have
gone
just
up a
been
notch,
crazy up a notch. Not just up a notch.
16 and 17 have been two of my best seasons.
Yeah, for sure. And it's, again, you're not getting younger. No. So what is, I don't want to say your secret, but I mean, what's your kind of thought process behind this?
Well, I think one thing that you can't discount is experience and consistency in training. Mm-hmm. You know, I've been building this endurance foundation for probably 27, 28 years because I was a mountain biker before.
That's right.
For 10 years before I got into ultra running. So, and that was like, you know, I raced a little bit, but I wasn't racing. I was just I was riding 4 or 5 days a week. Yeah. You know, just riding single track. So that's an endurance engine, right? I was building that whole time. I've always strength trained since I was in 8th grade, like pretty much year round.
Because you're buff.
Yeah, I mean, for a 46, I guess so. Yeah.
I mean, you're in great shape, is what you know.
No,
it's like people think strength training, they think, you know, he's bulging muscle, but you're lean, strong.
He's,
right?
He's as strong as he needs to be for his activity.
Exactly.
Right?
I look okay at the beach.
I'll take your word for that.
So, I mean, for 46, I do not have a gut at all, and I do have muscle tone. So, and I work on that. Yeah. You know, like I'm working on that consistently for like decades. And so I think that foundation, you can't discount that kind of foundation, right? You know, when people see, like someone recently asked me, like, how do you run 300 or 400s a year and just bounce back? It's like, well, you also have to look at like, you know, for years, 2002 through 2006, I ran 100 a year. Mm-hmm. 2007 through 2013, I ran 2 100s a year spread out. Plus some other, you know, other races, ultras, obviously, but every year. But you know, usually 5 to 7 races a year. And then starting in 2014, I started running 3 or 4 a year. I ran 4 a year in 2014, 3 in 2015, 4 in 16, and then 3 this year. So I just started tacking them on in 2014, but you got to remember, like that was 12 years into ultra running, right? 22 years in endurance training. Right. So there's a huge base there. Yeah, there is. So that can't be discounted, right? The other is diet. Yeah. The last 2 years' results have come from changing to a high-fat, low-carb diet.
And when did you make that change?
December 1st, 2015.
Right before Hurt.
7 weeks before Hurt in 2016 race.
So
and
go back and listen
to fat adaptation's been a huge one for recovery, you know, less inflammation, I feel younger. Right. I'm leaner.
So do you have some creamer in your coffee? I didn't see. Did you put some in there?
Oh, yeah. I put organic heavy whipping creams in there.
All right. I didn't know.
Well, I had Bulletproof coffee before you guys were here. I had a whole mix of stuff. With this one, I just...
So what do you put in your Bulletproof coffee? You put,
well, there's an official Bulletproof recipe.
Yeah, I know. But
right?
What's your recipe?
Mine is kind of a hybrid. It's about a tablespoon of grass-fed butter.
What butter do you use?
I use like Organic Valley cultured unsalted butter.
Okay.
Then I use Organic Valley heavy whipping cream.
All right.
A scoop of hydrolyzed collagen powder.
Right.
And
flavored or unflavored?
And unflavored. Okay. And MCT oil.
Okay. Do you have an MCT oil you like?
I order like a high octane kind of C8 blend that's just C8 sometimes. Right now, I just if I'm in a pinch, I just go to Natural Grocers and get like the Now brand,
right?
Which is a mix of C10 and C8, half and half.
Okay.
But I just put a little MCT oil in there too.
Well, how much are you putting in?
Like we're talking like a tablespoon. Like we're talking an 8-ounce cup.
Yeah.
Well, we make a pour over in like a container, so it's like maybe 4 cups of coffee.
Okay.
So in 4 cups of coffee, I probably have 2 tablespoons of butter, so 2 scoops of collagen, 2 tablespoons of MCT oil, and some heavy whipping cream.
Okay.
And then I just shake that up, emulsify it.
Yep.
And then that's what we
Do you use on your emulsifier? Do you just do it by shaking, or you put an actual?
I don't do it in a blender. I used to do it in a blender, but it's like I'm lazy. And
It's a lot of work.
So I do it in like a nice like insulated like screw-on lid.
Yeah,
you know,
shake
that holds
the
like
mess out
4
of it.
cups, and I shake that thing up really well, and then just pour it into my cup. So it's nice and foamy. And
I've got a little the stick immersion blender. I put it in
oh,
there. So
I need one of those.
So I have like a French press.
Yep.
Right? So that's tall enough you can put your immersion blender in there so it doesn't go all over the place, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's really easy and it frosts it up.
Oh.
It's pretty tasty that way.
Yeah, that's good.
And then I saw the other day, so you know who Laird Hamilton is, right?
Yeah, totally.
So he's got this little hand blender, and it's going to look a little weird. And then you go like this.
I'm glad no one's watching
I know,
this.
right?
It's a pumping motion.
It's a pumping motion, right? And it's got a little thing on the end that spins. Check that out. It's a kitchen gadget that...
But doesn't need batteries.
No,
or anything.
it doesn't. You can take it camping.
Oh, I need one of those.
Yeah, so check
I
that
might
out.
Check that one out.
Yeah.
So we just gave the secret Browning bulletproof coffee recipe.
It's good.
Bulletproof Browning.
That's a lot of MCT oil. Did you have to like ease into that? Did you have like disaster pants when you were trying?
Well, I think it can give you that if you take too much.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a word of warning for anybody listening.
Yeah,
Ease
MCT
into
oil
the
takes a
MCT
little bit
oil.
of adaptation time because it's a bunch of fatty. It's medium chain triglycerides, so it's a bunch of fatty acids into your system at once, and it can kind of clean you out a little bit. But your body adapts pretty quick.
It does.
Before I got into that, I was already doing tablespoons of coconut oil.
Yep.
Eating them straight.
Okay.
Wow.
Just as before I even switched to this diet, I was messing around with like first thing in the morning, not eating breakfast right away,
right,
and just eating like a tablespoon of coconut oil and doing some and just doing bulletproof coffee. And at first, when I first started doing that, it would like kind of upset my stomach, so I had to start with like a quarter teaspoon,
exactly,
and then I went to a teaspoon or half teaspoon, then I went to a teaspoon, and I went to a tablespoon.
Gotcha.
Like heaping tablespoons.
Yeah, exactly.
So just getting used to it.
Yeah. So that's that word of warning. If you're gonna try this, you have to ease into it, or be close to the bathroom.
Joel didn't give me that info when he first introduced me to bulletproof coffee. It was a bad day.
Disaster pants.
Oh yeah.
We went on a run, so I got bulletproof coffee first time ever. Because I drink
and
coffee.
then you went on a run
at like 4:30 in the morning. I'm drinking bulletproof coffee, first time ever. And then we met at 5 to run, and it was like 5:10.
Yeah,
first downhill, first little downhill where it jostles, and I'm like, "What the?"
Yeah, and it comes on like it's like a heart attack.
It's no warning. It's like you have time to pick and choose. It's a straight beeline to the.
Yeah, it's a good cleanse.
Yeah,
it really is straight up. There's a reason why they call it disaster pants.
And that's what I told Jill. I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" She goes, "Oh yeah, that'll happen."
Yeah,
I'm
you'll
like,
get used to it.
That's what I'm wanting to
Yeah,
hear
your
the
body
night
adapts
before.
pretty quick.
It does.
Yeah.
So do you eat breakfast?
I do, but I usually don't eat breakfast right away. So I have coffee,
Right.
And then maybe mid-morning I'll have a couple eggs,
Okay.
with a little bit of fat.
Right.
But I don't really have any carbs in the mornings. I
Yeah.
usually do a carb fast through after my lunch workout.
Oh.
So during the
Okay.
week.
So that's almost straight up 24 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's usually
pretty close.
16 to 18 hours.
Okay.
And then I eat all my carbs in about a 6 to 8 hour window.
Okay.
You know, from like 2 or 3 in the afternoon till like 8 or 9 at night.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then I and with this thing, one thing I would say is everyone thinks I'm just doing ketogenic all the time, ketogenic diet, but I'm doing ketogenic cyclically,
Right.
Where I'm going really low carb, and it's strategic.
Right.
So for me, it's like I kind of look at, especially as an endurance athlete, you have to be careful on a high fat, low carb diet going chronically low carb.
Right.
You need to be eating from the kind of approved primal paleo list of foods, but using those carbs strategically. So fruits and sweet potatoes, red potatoes, strategically around effort, volume.
Right.
That's kind of some of the stuff I really help people coach them through.
Right.
I have 20 of my athletes are doing OFM.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I like to say OFM instead of like ketogenic or high fat, low carb, because OFM is really more like strategically using carbohydrates to optimize fat metabolism for endurance running.
Right.
Or endurance sports.
What are they seeing on this OFM? Are they super pumped on it?
Yep. Weight loss, good weight loss, a strategic or good energy, consistent energy all day. No more like being hungry and hangry. You can skip a meal if you're busy and not worry about it.
Right.
really good people who've been having, GI stress in races, that tends to go away.
Right.
As we hone in race day nutrition stuff.
Right.
Because you can simplify and you can go about half the calories you used to take once you've done the adaptation phase. So we do an adaptation phase. I coach people through a 4-week adaptation phase of like low carb.
Right.
We go really low carb, like ketogenic, and then we kind of start adding back in strategic carbohydrates after 4 weeks.
Okay.
And we don't do any nutrition on long runs. So it's like we back off on long runs for 4 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So you don't have to have calories.
Right.
And you let that metabolic adaptation happen.
Right.
And then we start bringing in strategic carbohydrates on long runs and around volume and intensity.
So give us an example of like a strategic carbohydrate. Don't give away the baby. Obviously.
I'm not gonna. Well, no, I don't mind sharing this stuff. So, like, one thing. I mean, there's a lot of nuances and like strategic stuff that I really help my coached athletes with.
Right.
That saves them months or years of trial and error.
Right.
So, there's a lot more than just what I'm going to tell you.
Sure.
But basically, let's say I go do a speed workout at lunch.
Okay.
Then I'm going to come home and eat a serving of fruit right after the run.
All right.
Probably with fat. So that helps buffer an insulin response, the extra fat. So like or also I will add in a strategic extra carbohydrate in the evening. So like I'm still having vegetables for my carbohydrate at my main meals.
Right.
But I might add in like say post dinner an extra strategic carbohydrate. And this is like what we call a sleep hack.
Okay.
Helps sleep, having a little higher carbs right before bed.
All right.
I do a thing where you take it's equal parts coconut oil, equal parts almond butter, and you take say 2 tablespoons of almond butter, 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, mix it in with a little bit of either raw honey or like a 1/4 teaspoon or a little bit of stevia. Mix it together with a fork in a bowl till it's whipped together like a pudding.
Okay.
Throw some berries on it or cut up a crisp apple, small organic crisp apple. None of those big fat red juicy ones. Those are hybridized and like really high in sugar.
They're crazy.
You want like the original like small things.
Yeah.
And then cut that up and then drizzle coconut milk on it and cinnamon.
Wow. That sounds
fat
delicious.
parfait.
Yeah.
With some carbs.
Yeah.
But they're in a bed of fat.
Yeah, exactly.
So that helps buffer an insulin response of
Right.
any type. And that keeps you kind of in a, that's going to top off any glycogen from working hard that day.
Right.
That's going to help you sleep better, deeper sleep faster. And then, so that's one of my tips today.
Okay.
That's a sleep hack right there.
Well, I'll tell you, after episode 44, I went out and bought all the books.
He did.
I did. And they're
like
amazing.
Primal Blueprint.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
All and Primal Endurance.
Yep.
And they're great. And then, went on that. But a lot of the listeners did. Like, I got some feedback from some listeners that went on it, and they were blown away by what it helped them with. So they obviously just went, bought the books, did some studying on it, and they're runners, and they're like, dude, that was insane. Like, crazy.
Yeah, one of the things I would caution people out there too, just be careful to go chronically low carb too long. Because you do it at first for the adaptation,
right.
But then as you continue to train, when you're training, you need some carbs.
You do.
Don't just go low carb all the time because you will you'll feel great for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
But then after 5 or 6 months, you'll start to feel a little low, and what your
Right.
body needs is some carbs. You can't just discount carbs all the way. We call it strategic use of carbohydrates.
Right.
From that kind of clean list, because the reason we're avoiding grains is because they're inflammatory.
Right.
And so we're trying to keep a stable insulin. We're not trying to keep our blood sugar stable, and we're trying to not have any inflammatory foods.
So one of the things that I got from people, and maybe you could just throw a little bit of advice out there, people that start like a Primal Blueprint OFM diet, right?
Yep.
What are your words of advice those first 2 weeks? Where obviously that's just that's tough.
That's the hardest part.
It is hard. The first week is a little hard because you're going to be low. Your body's has a metabolic pathway and it's trying to burn glucose. It doesn't have it has not adapted because we've always had a high carb load our whole life. Most Americans or most people have had a low or have not been low carb. That body's just trying to burn glucose, and that's the only pathway it has open, and it hasn't burned and it takes about 14 to 21 days to really open up that metabolic pathway to burn onboard fat. And so that you got to wait for that adaptation to occur. And so in that meantime, you just kind of got to ride it out. The best thing I can say is get into Bulletproof coffee. If you can get into that can help. The other thing that can really help, because it can curb appetite in the middle of the day, because there's fat in it, and it's going to be giving your body fat and forcing it to have to burn fatty acids instead of burning glucose. The other thing that can help is a half serving of fruit a day during that period adaptation phase.
And when you say a half serving,
that means like a half a cup.
Yeah, exactly.
So if like you were going to cut up an apple, or if you're going to
a small
have some
apple.
berries, if you're like a small apple, a berries. If you're going to have berries, we're talking like a handful, right?
Okay.
That's about half a cup.
Right.
Not a ton. Once a day.
Yeah.
And preferably after a workout.
Yeah.
So if you go run, do it after your workout, strategically put it in there. Your body's going to say, oh, I burned some glycogen. It's going to take up all that glucose, use it up, and give it to glycogen storage. And then you're going to move on. Your body's going to continue to adapt to burn fatty acids. And you're not going to mess your adaptation phase up.
Right. So when you went over the UTMB, how did you stay on that? Did you find it harder? Did you find
I always travel with food when I'm on a plane.
Okay.
Enough food to like snack
for
the
you.
the whole trip.
Okay.
So
how do you get that on the plane? Because are you allowed to take that through?
Yeah, you're allowed to take food through. As long as it's not like you can't take a nut butter unless it's in like trail butter single serving packets.
So
I took a bunch of single serving trail butters.
Okay.
I took macadamia nuts. I cut up some sausage. Was in a Ziploc.
Right.
I had some cheese cut up.
So they were cool with you just taking that through security?
Yeah, most of the time they're good because you want to time it so you eat it all, so you don't have to worry about customs if you're traveling internationally.
Right.
So you don't have to say, oh, I brought food, and then you're going to get it thrown away.
Yeah.
The other is being careful. I had a whole tub of like organic nut butter thrown away once in through TSA checkpoint because you can't take nut butters in that big of a bulk in.
Right.
He's like, I'm sorry, I got to throw this away. He's like, you can eat it right here on the spot if you want. I took like a couple big bites of it.
It's like if I ate that whole thing, I'd be riding it out in the plane, man.
Exactly. So, but the cool thing is when you're fat adapted, you're not hungry. So as long as you could just sit there and drink water the whole time and just go on a fast. And so it's really not that hard. But I do travel with a little bit of food, so I don't have to eat the airplane food.
Right.
Because most of the time it's crap.
It is.
And I'm also allergic to soy, so I have to look at labels. And so most of the food on planes has soybean oil in it, and so I even the dressings. And so I typically when I'm traveling, I eat a lot of salads with a meat.
Okay.
Right. And just no dressing. Ask for olive oil on the side and maybe an extra avocado or something. Or sometimes I'll bring avocados and travel with them and eat those. Okay. Sometimes I've traveled with sardines, cans of sardines.
Ooh, I bet you're fun to sit next to on a plane.
Yeah, totally. Dumping sardines. I usually do it in the terminal, not on the plane.
But
you can go get like a really simple salad somewhere in the airport with nothing on it.
Right.
Throw away the dressing, and then just take the olive oil and sardine can and dump it on there and cut up an avocado.
There you go.
Let's see what else. When I'm traveling, like a lot of times if I'm traveling somewhere, I'm trying to get a place where I have a kitchen or a way to cook.
Right.
So I can cook my own meals. And then I just go to a local, a health food store or a grocery store and buy, my normal kind of foods.
Right. But when you were at UTMB and you were on the race course, how did you handle that?
Oh, on the race course during
the
race.
Yeah.
Okay, so during the race, one of the things we do on OFM is we do simple carbohydrates.
So
whatever works.
So GU packets.
Yeah, GU. I do GU Roctane Grape, no caffeine. That's what I do a half serving between every aid station. So I'm drinking 1 bottle of calories, 1 bottle of water, and then I carry maybe.
That type of Roctane.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
So
the powdered Roctane.
stuff.
I use the powdered Roctane, so I'm IV dripping some calories during the race.
Okay.
So simple carbohydrates are on during long runs and races.
Okay.
After adaptation.
Right.
So once we've got that metabolic pathway open, we're burning onboard a percentage of our calories in onboard fat.
So before you did OFM, did you have that hunger, that gnawing hunger, where you wanted something solid? Did you ever have that problem? Like later in the race, like your body's expecting to have something?
Yeah. And I ate a fair amount. I had to keep a fair amount of calories coming in pretty consistently. And I was always on the borderline of GI stress because of it, because I needed that calories not to bonk.
Right.
because I only had a glucose pathway.
Right.
Now I have 2 pathways. I have glucose pathway because I use strategic carbohydrates to keep that glucose pathway open.
Right.
And then I have a onboard fat burning pathway. We're not talking about exogenous fat. We're not. One thing that people get confused here, and there's a lot of talk out there about optimized fat metabolism and fat adaptation. We aren't consuming exogenous fat. That means we're not eating external fat during the race. It's too complex to break down.
Right.
So if you're going to have that, you could have it maybe every 4 or 5 hours during 100 or something.
Right.
A little bit, right? A little avocado or something like that. But otherwise, you're not. Simple carbohydrates still are appropriate. Gels, powder,
Right.
whatever works for you, whatever brand works for you,
Right.
is on.
Right.
You just don't have to do as much per hour as you used to after adaptation. About half.
Which also
Which
kind
I
of
found.
correlates back to the helping the GI.
Yeah.
It really helps the GI tract a lot because you just don't have to deal with a bunch of calories. Now, the one thing I do find on this is because I'm taking just liquid calories most of the time for majority of my calories, I end up having hunger pains where
That's
my
what I'm
stomach,
talking about.
not
Yeah.
pains, not like I'm hungry, but my stomach's growling.
It is.
Yeah.
Well,
And it's annoying.
Expects to have something,
So that's
right?
I found just a little bit of solid food at aid stations,
So whatever looks good.
but from the approved list.
Okay, so what is
So
that?
orange wedges,
All right.
bananas, fruit.
Okay.
Basically sticking to fruit
Right.
or potatoes.
No quesadillas.
No quesadilla. I mean, you
Oh,
could have it.
come on.
Pierogies.
Quesadillas are always. Oh, those pierogies.
I think you can have all that kind
those
of stuff.
pierogies. Come
but
on now.
You just don't want very much.
Yeah.
The key here is a
5 of them's too many, huh?
But I tell my athletes don't get caught into those foods.
Right.
Stick to simple fruits a little bit. We're talking a third of a banana, right? And then
Yeah.
go back to you're sipping your
Just enough to let your
drink.
stomach know there's something there.
There's something
Yeah.
there to work on for the next hour.
Exactly.
And then you'll have another solid at the next aid station,
Okay.
right? And then just kind of work through that and just have that powder to be sipping on the whole time. So you're always taking a calorie in every 3 or 4 minutes, a little bit, never overwhelming the GI tract, never overwhelming the system.
Okay.
It's constantly got glucose on board to burn, so the brain tells the body it's okay.
Right.
And then you keep moving forward and save those things that look good during the race, like a quesadilla, for after the race. Because even if they look good, you eat them, they're probably going to cause a little GI stress. Because they're too complex to break down.
They are.
So unless you're going really slow. Now, some of my runners that are back of the packers, then
They can pull it off.
they can pull off a lot more solid food because
Yeah.
you're not moving as fast. Heart rate's not as high.
Right.
But if you're trying to go for a PR, or you're trying to go for a time goal, simpler is better. And then chow down after the race,
right.
right? Or unless you're in the last 10 miles and bacon is at an aid station.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you don't pass that.
You crush that, right?
But it's still I did it at Sherman during Hard Rock, and that's still 8 hours from the finish.
Right.
It caused GI stress. It looked good and it tasted good, but I still had it messed with my stomach a little bit.
Just
Right.
rub it I just rub it on my mustache
So you
so I
can
can just
smell
it.
bacon. Smell bacon the whole time.
So I'm like, I'm gonna keep going. Yep, I'm good.
I'm good. Bacon smell.
That's right, man.
Bacon cologne.
That's right. That's not bad, actually.
Ooh, I wonder if that would be popular.
You just got to be careful the time of year and where you're running, just in case of wildlife.
Yeah,
right?
you have a whole bunch of bears following you.
Yeah.
That dude smells
It
good.
smells so good
He
right
smells
now.
like bacon.
It smells mapley. Maple bacon. Well, yeah, I mean, with your athletes, so, I mean, have you, because some of your athletes I've seen through social media, if they've done well this year, the eating side of it, do they just jump right on board after they get on, they see the benefits of it?
Yeah, I think what a lot of people end up finding out, and this is what I experienced, is that you have a new level of clean. And so when you eat, say, a heavy grain meal, right, like pasta or pizza or something like that, you see this
This blah.
yeah, your GI tract slows down and you feel bloated and you just don't feel right. You feel off.
Yeah.
And so it encourages you to stay on the straight and narrow. And so people tell me all the time, don't you miss bread? Don't you? Yeah, sometimes when I smell bread, fresh baked bread.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course I drive past some bagel shop. I think bagels and cream cheese and hummus. But also I also think it just doesn't make me feel right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I just, I think you can have it. And I tell my people who really miss some stuff, you have it every once in a while,
Right.
80-20 rule. Like 80% of the time, stay on the straight and narrow on this diet, and 20% of the time, once you've done the adaptation, you have the metabolic pathway open. And some of my athletes will totally like go off the wagon after a race. The only thing that I encourage them to stay on it for a week or two after a race, because you're going to keep that inflammation down, so
Right.
you'll recover faster. And then if you want to cheat a little bit, go cheat.
Right.
And that's the time to cheat. And then when it's time to train again, get back on it and start doing it again.
Well, sometimes too, when they get off it and they get back to their pizzas and pastas after they've been, OFM for a while, like, I feel like that was tasted good, but I feel like crap. So it's
Yeah.
almost like they're excited to feel better again, right?
Yeah,
Where they're gonna
You
go
like I
back
said,
on
new
it.
level of clean.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think that's where you really feel good. It's that inflammatory response you're getting from grains, and you can't get past that.
Yeah.
Like you can't get past the science behind phytic acid and phytates and lectins and everything else that's in grains that cause inflammation and mess with the GI tract. So they definitely cause inflammation in the GI tract. So,
I mean, just like you talked about with even the last 2 years, I mean, what you're talking about the last, 15 minutes or so on OFM, I mean, it shows, right? I mean, you have the results.
Yeah.
Not just racing, but lifestyle, how you feel, and some of your athletes feel that way, and our listeners that have done this feel the same way. So, I mean, it's not...
Yeah, it takes a little bit of practice at the beginning, but you get it after... 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks of kind of sticking to the straight and narrow. You kind of start to have new comfort foods. You find your new recipes. And that's why I encourage, I give a bunch of resources to my athletes that, of stuff I've already researched. And I just, they can pass go and collect $200 and continue on. Everything I've researched, I give them right out of the blocks. So it's lists of good cookbooks, right? Links, podcasts. So I want them to be knowledgeable of why they're eating this way, not just hey,
you said so,
because Jeff said so, but because there's a scientific backing behind this and what it is and where it comes from and the research behind it. And if they educate themselves on it, they understand why. They understand why they feel like crap when they eat grains, and when they understand what the scientific background behind that and what our metabolic system is dealing with lectins, for example, then they understand why there's inflammation, and they understand why it's important to stay on this diet to feel good. And people notice a difference. And it's across the board. I mean, it's not just 1 out of 5.
Yeah.
All of my athletes notice a difference. And they always say, oh man, I've been off the wagon. I got to get back on because I feel so much better,
So with your athletes then, because, a lot of coaching, and I don't know all the coaches, but say, I want you to coach me. I want to do good at this race. So you're not only helping with the mileage, the training, the speed work, but you're also giving them the
custom
diet.
training, but also I offer diet consulting on that if they want it. And most people are coming to me for both.
Yeah.
Right.
A majority of my athletes are. They're coming to me because of that. But, I have a few that aren't interested in the nutrition side.
And that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll help them with race day nutrition, simplifying, like strategic, logistics and drop bags and how to be more efficient through aid stations and all those things. But they're definitely leaving something on the table.
It's another tool.
It's another tool, and it's just another way of, another performance enhancer that you can tap into if you're interested.
I guess the question too, since the last 2 years where you've made the change and it's been pretty public and people know about it, have you seen an increase in people maybe coming to you for that specifically too, though? There's different coaches out there and they offer, maybe it's just coaching, but now it's wait a minute. I'm interested in this OFM. I know Jeff's done it. He's been successful at it. I'm going to go to you. I mean, have you seen an increase in that?
People are coming to me and requesting it.
Okay.
For sure. And I get excited because if somebody, it's one thing for me to give you good training and smart training and help you with strategic nutrition on race day, right, and long runs. But if you're willing to do the work on the nutritional side in your everyday life, I get excited because that means you're going to be successful, and that means it's a performance enhancer. Yeah. I literally see this as a performance enhancer, and so, I mean, I've experienced it the last 2 seasons, and I just know that if people want to do it, I'm super excited to help them out because I know, one, they're going to be excited. They're going to feel better in their everyday life. They're going to have more patience with their family because they're not going to be like hangry, and they're gonna feel better. They're going to look better. They're going to lose weight. I've got a couple of athletes that got back down to their high school weight.
Whoa.
They're in their 40s.
There you go, Eric.
Joe looks right at me.
Yeah.
I would like to get in my high school. I'd like to put my Letterman's jacket back on.
Ooh.
That'd be sweet.
How much was that?
How much was my jacket?
No, how much did you weigh? What's that weight?
You know what? If I had to guess, because that's all I'm basing it off, because I was a soccer guy, so my trunk was still pretty solid. 180?
In high school?
Yeah, 175. It's senior year.
You were a solid fella.
I had some pictures. My torso, you could see ribs, but I had some leg meat.
Yeah.
Because I had to, my butt.
Yeah.
But it was solid. It wasn't just there. It wasn't bagels and pizza.
No, you were bouncing quarters off that.
Oh, everybody was.
That's right.
They used me as the table at the party. Hey, we're gonna play. Stand over here. No, that's interesting though, because that's like you said though. That's a life thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's how you feel. It's not at the end of the day. Sometimes
and that's why I don't really even like to call it a diet. It's more of it's a lifestyle
lifestyle
change. Like it's a shift that you kind of have to embrace that lifestyle because like even when we go out to eat, we went out to a burger place last night, my family, after we went to a movie, and we went and everybody orders no buns, and we go a place where we can find sweet potato fries and that kind of stuff, and that's like that's a treat for us. But we just go no bun,
right,
and do a lettuce wrap, and it just becomes kind of second nature. You get so used to. I've been doing it, almost 2 years.
Just
now,
used to it.
But when you do have the
places.
bun, you feel just icky,
dirty.
Like you also like you're overeating too at that point.
Well, the other thing I found about my epiphany about buns and burgers is that the bun mutes the taste of everything else in the burger.
It overwhelms
the toppings. It overwhelms it. It like you all of a sudden get the taste of the meat, the taste of the lettuce, the taste of the pickles and the onions. They all come out way stronger.
Right.
Never thought of it that
so
way.
I actually enjoy it better. I actually prefer it without the bun.
I'm going to have to try that next time. I never thought of it that way. Sometimes I think the bread makes a sandwich. Like if it's horrible bread, the sandwich is horrible. If it's really good bread, the taste
that's
anyway.
true.
The
But
taste.
just remember, your homeostasis is 1 teaspoon of glucose in the bloodstream, and 2 pieces of bread like that's probably about 8 to 10 teaspoons of glucose to your system in one shot. So, boom.
See, I'm not a bread guy, but I mean, I eat sandwiches. I don't think about it. Buns, burgers, hot dog, whatever.
Right.
I don't just go get a slice of bread, put some butter on it, and eat it. Toast. I'm not that.
That's old school.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I never thought about the muting the taste of it.
Yeah.
So let me ask you: do you take any supplements?
I do. I supplement vitamin D, K.
Okay.
That's
these
two
in-
different
are these-
vitamins. That's not
Yep.
Dean Carnassus. That's vitamin D and vitamin K.
Yes.
Okay.
D3, K2.
Are these individual capsules you're taking?
Yep.
It's not like one big fat multivitamin that you're taking?
No, I don't
Okay.
take a multivitamin. I
Right.
just kind of take strategic stuff. So
Right. D and K.
I take D and K regularly. I take a little bit of branched chain amino acids occasionally after big workouts. Let's see, what else do I take? I take some magnesium,
Okay.
like naturally calm magnesium powder.
Mm-hmm.
I supplement sea salt.
Okay.
As a high-fat, low-carb athlete, without the big carb load, your body dumps some sodium.
All right.
And we're not adding any. There's no added sodium in my diet because it's an unprocessed diet.
True.
So I have to add the sodium back in. And when you're just salting, you only maybe get 500 milligrams a day, and your body really needs about. Well, if you're an athlete and you're training regularly, you need 2 to 6 grams. So 2,000 to 6,000 milligrams a day, depending on your size.
Right.
And how much you worked and how much you were sweating and all that kind of stuff. So I supplement sea salt in water in the mornings, and then after a workout, and then evenings. So like 3 times a day, maybe a quarter teaspoon, half teaspoon first thing in the morning because you're kind of dehydrated from sleeping.
Right.
So your uptake on an empty stomach
Breaking that fast
is better.
Yeah.
When you first get up. So I'd chug a glass of water with some little sea salt in it. I also take some gut biome stuff for like acidophilus and Aphitis.
Right.
Just because I was dealing with some yeast stuff back when I made the shift, and that's one of
Right.
the reasons I made the shift in the first place was to cut sugar out,
Yeah.
to not feed the yeast.
Yeah.
So I'm still kind of like always working on gut biome. Those are the main ones. I mean, I have a whole list. I take some.
Do you take any like performance enhancing ones like cordyceps, beetroot?
No.
No.
No, I
not
just
interested.
eat really good,
Right.
Lots of veggies.
Okay.
I eat, 2 of my meals a day are pretty vegetable heavy,
Right.
with moderate protein. So
Okay.
some kind of a fatty cut of meat,
All right.
but from grass-fed, grass-finished source,
Mm-hmm.
a good source. No factory farm meat.
Right.
But I don't, I supplement from time to time during the peak of the season. I have another list of supplements that I'll add in. I will take some kelp supplement for some iodine,
Okay.
or just eat nori, one or the other.
Right.
If I'm eating nori, I don't take a kelp supplement. If I haven't had any nori for a while, my daughter makes a mean. She smothers butter in a skillet, takes nori and cheese, cuts up cheese like raw cheese, melts a little, like slightly melts the cheese, kind of heats it up like a little wrap, sea salts it. And then we eat it like a nori wrap with cheese in the middle and butter.
So you said nori. You said peanut butter.
No, butter.
Oh, I thought you said peanut butter.
No peanut butter. That's a legume, man.
I was like, whoa, that's
No peanut butter in
that's
this
a weird
house.
combination.
Yeah, we do not eat peanut butter.
All right.
And it's high mold content, too, for those out there that eat a lot of peanut butter.
Yeah.
Peanut butter
You're making
naturally has
people
tons
turn
of
our-
mold toxins in them,
Yeah.
so don't eat peanut butter.
That's
People
bad
are
news.
turning off our podcast. Like, what?
No peanut butter?
As they're dipping their
no.
celery in their peanut
Peanut
butter.
butter?
Celery in the peanut butter.
Yeah, peanut butter's pretty dirty, man.
That is old
It's the
school.
dirty nut, right?
It's not even a nut. It's a legume. It's a dirty legume.
Yeah.
Dirty legume.
It's very mold. It's very susceptible to mold, and the way they do it, and there's a lot of high mold toxins. It's one of the highest mold toxins of food we eat.
I'm not even hungry right now. Joel
I'm not
saw a
hung-
taco truck on the way out of town.
Oh, we're gonna totally crush that on the way home. Just to let you know.
We're talking all this health. We're going to crush a
Heck
taco
yeah, we're gonna
truck.
crush that taco tuck.
So
It's gonna be good.
so for the coaching, you have slots available if people are out there looking.
Yeah,
for
it's kind of
coaching?
off season, so I got a couple slots right now if anybody's interested. Yeah, I kind of cap how many people I take on. But that usually hits like springtime. It's when
So if they want to
Whoa.
get in early
I just tipped over my coffee.
in his Hard Rock mug.
Yeah, that's if people want to get hold of me, go broncobilly.com is my coaching site.
Mm-hmm.
You can hit me on social media too. Go Bronco Billy at Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Yeah.
Nice.
There's an email form, a coaching page. Go check it out.
Right.
You can hit me on an email form if you want to ask some questions.
We'll have all that
Um,
information in the
Inquire about
the
coaching.
post too.
Yeah. I got his cell number. I'll throw that on there, his address. They'll get a hold of you.
Address.
People peeking through your window.
There'll be people squatting in his driveway, spending the night.
This will be a cool place. So what do you got planned? Do you have plans yet or thinking about 2018?
Western States.
Yeah.
Back in that.
Yep.
I'm putting in for Hard Rock.
Okay.
So I'm hoping I get in the lottery.
Right.
They're 4 weeks apart this year, so
You're right.
an extra week
Mm-hmm.
on the double. I don't know. Spring races will be stuff here in Utah. So I was just looking at like stuff here on this side. I was looking at Antelope Island, possibly. I was looking at Moab Red Hot 55K.
Oh, yeah?
I
Right.
was also looking at Zane Gray because I have always wanted to do that race.
looks
It's
awesome.
a long, old race.
Gnarly hard.
Yeah, gnarly hard. I heard they changed the course though, so
They
I haven't.
did.
They did.
Mm-hmm. I just read about that.
Yeah, because of the fires or something. So I
Right.
don't know how much did they change the original course? Do you
I
know?
didn't read the whole thing.
Yeah, I
I just
haven't
saw
either.
I don't know if they had all the information yet. I think it just said
I want to
there
run
is
the
a
original course
change.
though, so I'm kind of bummed about that.
Yeah.
So I may have to wait on Zane Gray. What else?
Anything
I don't know.
next fall?
I would probably run something in the fall too, another
Yeah.
100.
Yeah.
If I don't get into Hard Rock, I'll find 2 other hundreds to run.
Like
I
Run
kind of want to
Rabbit?
run 4 run. My wife doesn't necessarily like me to do. Yeah, I might run Rabbit again.
There you go.
I don't know. I have Bear now that I almost need to like start a tradition of running Bear every year.
because it's here in your backyard.
You got El
Cruise
Vaquero.
easy.
You gotta
Yeah.
put that on your to-do list.
Oh, my wife loved that we had Bear in the backyard. It was so
Right?
easy for her.
So easy.
Yeah,
like
she
I'll
gets to sleep in our, and I get to, if I finish, I just drive back home and sleep that night and then drive back up to,
That's what you
Bear
did this
Lake.
year.
Yeah.
You were fresh.
Yeah, I got to sleep in my own bed. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I got some other stuff on my bucket list, but I don't really.
Nothing in stone. You're kind of
Yeah,
just
I
seeing how
haven't
it
really
plays out.
I need to sit down and figure it out. I'm still digging out of boxes at my house, so I need to get my garage unpacked before I think about my season.
There's a pretty iconic trail race in Ogden in first part of May. People have been a lot of chatter.
What's that race?
There's been a lot of chatter. It's the Ogden Trail Running Festival.
As a matter of fact.
Started last year.
Yeah, you guys started last year.
Yeah, and there's a Gib Wallace race. There's prize money.
There is prize money. Good prize money.
Yeah, for
That's
a short.
in May.
Yeah,
first weekend in May.
Yeah, I think the
that's
first
only 45 minutes.
First place last year, men and women walked away with cash and prize, $700-800 worth of stuff.
Cool.
It was 7 miles.
Yeah,
it's a 7 mile race.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so short.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not.
It might
like
be
you
9
think.
this year.
Yeah,
if
Joel's
we're
got
lucky.
something. We got some things in the works, but yeah,
Yeah.
you got to put that on your list. It's there's a lot of chatter.
That's like a trainer.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
a
it's
lot
a total
of chatter.
speed work.
Yeah.
Sweet, I like that.
Yeah.
I like forced speed work race events.
Yeah, you're going against these fresh post-collegiate guys. They're just crazy fast, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some.
Are
good
Are you
times.
putting a lot of vert in that
It's got
Or it's roll-
1,800 feet.
in a 9 miler?
Yeah.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah,
It keeps you
it's-
honest.
Yeah, last year there was
That gives us ultra runners a little bit of a
Just a touch.
Fighting
and plus,
chance.
There's
a
a
little fighting chance with
there's
that
some
leg speed.
There's some technical downhill.
yeah,
So those college guys, but they train on those trails all the time.
Yeah.
They know it.
Yeah. If they're local, they know it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, 2018, there's some cool stuff happening. But yeah, like you said, it's a
got-
little ways away.
Got Smut's got a 100 miler now.
Yep.
Scout Mountain Ultra.
Luke's race.
Yes,
That's in your
Luke
back.
and I were talking about that race. I might do that as the 50 miler as a trainer for Western States.
Yeah,
possibly.
that'd be great. And then the new Putts
Palisades race that's going to open
Ultra
up.
Trail series.
There's just all kinds of crazy stuff going on right now.
Mhm.
Close by the Ute,
Yeah.
100 down in LaSalle's, down
Yeah.
near Moab. That looks gnarly and amazing.
When is that?
That's August 11th.
Ooh, I need to look at that one.
Yeah.
If
That's
I don't
all
get into
really
hard
high.
rock, I might do that one.
That one's all way high elevation
All
too.
the time. It looks pretty. Yeah, so there's quite a few.
Yeah, and I'm coaching a couple camps though, so those might come. The August slot is camps,
Oh,
so
conflicting.
yeah, we're gonna do another camp at Colorado Running Ranch.
And that's down in...
Chrissy Mail and I are.
Are you?
Yeah, we're teaming up to do a Colorado Running Ranch in Durango camp in August. Plus, the two of us are coaching Mount Hood camp through Mazama Mountaineers.
You did that one this past
Yeah, we've
year,
done that
too.
for 2 years.
Yeah, okay.
So we decided this year for Colorado Running Ranch Carl and I were gonna split up and so we could have a female coach as well. We want to
That's
have
great.
Yeah. So and Chrissy and I have a history. We've been on Patagonia Trail ambassadors for a long time.
And if you're
Right.
picking a female coach to help, I mean, come on.
Yeah, Chrissy's an awesome coach too. She's great. She's a great person to coach with, and it's great to have a female represented too.
Yeah.
For the female side of campers.
Camp.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
She's great coach
We'll have to
too.
look into that. That'd be. I've always looked at camps. I thought I don't know. I never
They're
went to
so
camps
fun,
as kids.
man.
Right?
They're
I
so
never went-
fun.
As a kid, I never went to summer camp. I never went to band
No?
camp. I never went to any of these camps. So it's like, I'm an adult. I want to go to a camp.
They are pretty fun. And we're doing them over weekends now, so we won't do them during the
okay.
week. The Colorado Running Ranch one was during the week. This time it's going to be like a Thursday through Monday. So you only have to burn 3 days of PTO instead of 5.
Or work remotely.
Yeah, or work remotely.
That's true.
But it's pretty cool. Like the Colorado Running Ranch one's really fun.
And so when's information going to be out on that?
It'll come out on coloradorunninranch.com pretty soon.
Okay.
Okay.
The update of the camps
Okay.
information. It should hit November 1st probably or beginning of November. And I think there is going to be early bird pricing.
Oh.
So for a certain amount of time, you'll be able to get a cheaper price, and then the
Okay.
price will go up. But it's an all-inclusive camp. Like you fly into Durango or get yourself there, and they pick you up at the airport, and we cook for you the whole time. And
Whoa.
we eat OFM. With Chrissy there, we might not eat full OFM. We'll have other options. But we had most of the campers were OFM athletes this last year. Like,
What are your size of your camp?
last year was 8 people, but we can take up to, I think we can take up to 16 or something.
So people, you got to pay attention. That's some serious tutelage. That's
Yeah,
some
it
one-on-one stuff, pretty
Pretty
much.
much.
Yeah, this is
You know what I
one-on-one.
mean?
It's cool. It's the ranch itself is they got someone cooking for you, and you get a really
Whoa.
good goodie bag, and we have a camp. We have campfire talks every night.
Wow, those are
Campfire in front by the creek.
This is what I think of camp. So
Yeah.
this is
It's awesome, man. Like we did a full OFM demystified talk around the campfire one night. We did race day nutrition. We talked about gear and like mountain safety and like how to deal with lightning and be safe in the mountains. And so we definitely dropped some knowledge on you if you, especially for high altitude stuff, because we're going onto the Hard Rock course in that camp. So it's a really fun camp because you're seeing like epic scenery.
See, and I'm old, so every time he says OFM, I think OMD.
I
Orchestral maneuvers in the dark.
Yeah.
And now people out there who, but he's like OFM. I'm like, they're going to be at the campfire? Oh, wait, OF. Okay. Sorry about that. So for the people, this is my other thing with running camp. So when you're running camp down there, what kind of condition should they be expected to be in?
We want people to be in a solid race-ready training.
Race-ready for a 50K,
like if they were going to go run if you're going to go run a trail marathon or
at altitude.
Yeah, a trail marathon or a trail 50K, kind of show up with like, being able to run, used to being out for 3 or 4 or 5 hours for a long run.
Okay.
Is ideal. Because we are running, 3 full days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because you travel on Thursday, travel on Monday. Mm-hmm. Thursday and Monday. So those are just shakeouts in the evening, a shakeout morning run on, and I'll do a functional strength training class one day at the trailhead to show everybody kind of a strength routine I do. Chrissy does a ton of like core stuff. She has her own core routine that she teaches. So we'll do that too. So those 3 days are pretty big days. We're talking like, 10 to 16 milers at altitude. Mm. So
how much
a 10 miler, people don't realize is like they want to go run we had a couple campers come in like, I want to run 22 mile long run, one of the days. We're like 22 miles in the San Juans is different than 22 miles at regular altitude.
Right.
You're going to be out for like 8 hours. So like we're trying to do scenic, nice runs. One day is kind of rolly one on the Colorado Trail at like 11,000 feet, and another day is going up Handies, summiting Handies.
Wow.
We do an add-on for if anybody wants to go longer that day. That's cool. A 10 miler, but it's like a 10 miler and you summit a 14er.
Right.
So every day we have a little. We do one day where it's Ice Lake Island Lake, which is kind of the Grand Swamp Pass. And if people want to get up on Grand Swamp Pass and check it out, they can check it out. And that's a great loop. It's like maybe 10 miler.
So what's the total volume that they're going to run?
It's probably going to be about a 10, 16, and a 10.
Right in that neighborhood.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they're getting 35 to 40
Serious
miles.
40 miles in 3 days.
Right.
Plus the 2 little shakeout runs,
Yeah.
which are like at your own pace, like an out and back.
Okay.
So if you're feeling beat up the last day, you don't have to run, or you can just go hike.
Right.
And then we meet back at the trailhead.
Okay.
So it's like we always have someone leading, flagging the course, and then we have a sweeper volunteer coming through and sweeping.
Do they wear a propeller beanie?
Ooh. That's the sweep. I'm going to bring the hat.
Yes,
I got to dig the hat out of my kid's toy box.
How can I be the sweep?
Yeah, Joel just wants to wear a beanie.
I just want to wear the beanie. How
Just
can
show
I
up.
be the sweep?
Just volunteer.
Just volunteer.
That's what I'm saying.
You come down, you camp out, you hang out, you get fed.
Yeah.
You get fed, and you get to run. You're going to be probably bringing up the back of the pack, so you're going to hike a lot.
Well, I always do that anyway.
I was going to say, Joel's
how's that
like,
any different?
Joel's
So
like,
there
you've
you go.
seen my
Yeah.
resume. We're in.
Talk to me
exactly.
afterwards.
All right.
So
I'll put you in contact with Colorado Running Ranch.
Okay.
Colorado Running Ranch. So we'll have the link so people can keep an eye on that. Do you guys have tentative date?
Yes, it is the beginning of August.
Okay.
The first weekend in August, I think, is going to be the dates.
Okay. So that's
And it
Vaquero
is-
weekend.
That's Vaquero weekend.
The Vaquero weekend, and it is my birthday that weekend.
Uh-oh.
So we're going to celebrate my 47th birthday
Whoa.
at Colorado Running Ranch.
with an OFM cake
Yeah. My wife will
sung-
make
and sung-
a paleo cake.
and sung to by OMD.
There you go.
So do you guys have prices on this yet? Is that out?
I don't know what
Okay.
they're deciding prices right now. They're
Okay.
talking through what that price is
With
based
everything.
on this year was the first year.
Okay.
So it's based on the expenses of last year, and I don't know what that price point
Was.
is right now. I'm sorry, I don't have that information.
That's right. We'll have a link so
okay.
people can keep a track on that. Because that weekend kind of has me kind of.
Because you weren't going to run.
I wasn't going to run
Vaquero.
El Vaquero anyway.
You were going to volunteer.
Yeah.
But now
It's a fun week.
But
It's
now
a
you
fun
can
weekend. I
volunteer.
really enjoy it. It's
At
like
this
I look
camp.
forward to it. Being one-on-one with people like that, it's like awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Just hanging out and talking running for 3 or 4 days.
I know.
Boy, that must suck. In the San Juans.
Yeah, exactly.
Around a campfire.
Sounds miserable.
Well, man, that's some great info,
Yeah.
right? What do you got?
Well, I was just you're kind of like heading towards that. We're gonna wrap the show up.
Yeah.
Type of feeling there.
Yeah.
We gotta give something away.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, good.
So we're going to give something away. We've teamed up with Ultraspire.
Yes.
Because as we know, Jeff is a sponsored, not just sponsored by Ultraspire, but you've been around Ultraspire since almost the inception of the company.
Right.
Yeah, actually, back up history-wise, Chrissy was originally involved with the company with the start, and she knew Bryce from his Nathan days, and the founder and designer, and she got. I think I might have been the first person on the team, besides maybe Carl.
Right.
So, yeah, I've been involved from the beginning. I've been giving sketches and ideas, being a graphic designer, gearhead. I totally have, given a lot of sketches over the years of ideas that have been created.
And we've known Bryce and talked to him a lot, and that's one of the cool things because I've been around enough to see how companies work with athletes and see companies who kind of don't work with athletes. But Bryce seems very open, like you mentioned earlier. It's like you can give him a sketch,
right,
and he seriously takes a look at it.
Yeah,
and
he'll look at it, and sometimes he might not touch it for 2 years because
Yeah.
he has to have the creative juices flow on his end because he brings his own twist to the idea or the concept. But that's part of like a conceptual, teaming up. So I come up with like, hey, here's a need, like the pack we're giving away today. The Velocity pack. I came back from wearing an older pack that's been discontinued in Ultra Fjord in 2015, and I came back with some ideas. Like I needed extra like pockets to be able to stash a jacket while the pack was on in the back, and I wanted to be able to like take things in and out easily. And he and I basically came back and did a sketch for him and sent it to him, and he actually made a pack. So,
and we're gonna give one away, brand new Ultraspire Velocity pack. And there's they come with hang tags.
They do,
because you can hang them in the stores, right?
Yeah.
Well, we had Jeff sign that even for our winner of this pack. So we're gonna have a small little contest,
right, to
give away the Ultraspire Velocity pack, which I actually run in. I've been running in it. I love the pack because of the storage and everything.
So it's a good day excursion running pack for like carrying everything. So in the mountains, if you need like layers and food and a camera and your phone, and it's got a waterproof pocket for your phone and everything.
It's legit.
It's a good good running pack.
So we're gonna give one away for the podcast, and we came up with a few ideas for the contest. Number one, the obvious one, you have to go over and like Ultraspire's Facebook page,
right? And we're gonna check,
and we'll check.
Yeah.
We'll make sure you are, and if you already like it, it's a bonus. Right?
Exactly.
Because we'll check before we draw the winner. So you have to like their page. And what else are we going to have them do?
I don't think we got past that, to be honest.
So we're going to make it up right now. This is how we're going to do the contest. On this podcast, on the website, right? The Trail Manners website.
Right.
Underneath this podcast launch.
This blog post.
You bet.
Yeah. So that's where you're going to have to leave your comments.
You're going to have to leave a comment on why you need the Velocity pack.
That's fair enough.
Right? I mean, because you have to want to use this pack. If you don't wear packs, or if you just wear speed racer packs and you don't need a big one, there's no need for it. But if you need this pack, we want to know why you need it.
You should have a quiver of packs.
Yeah, you should, because you never know where you're going to go. I mean, we came into Jeff's place. He's got a quiver.
Yeah.
He's got the race fast. And then he's got, hey, I'm going to be out there with a longer pack. Mm-hmm. So so first of all, like the Ultraspire Facebook page,
right?
And we're gonna
check.
Yeah, we're gonna check, and you have to like the Trail Manners Facebook page, and that's easy for us to check.
Okay, so there's two
likes,
requirements.
Super
so
easy.
Far.
Clicks of buttons, and then on the Trail Manners website,
on this blog
post,
episode 100.
100. This is such a sweet episode. Leave why you need the pack.
Okay, easy enough.
Easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
To win a pack, easy,
like it.
And you get an autograph hang tag,
I know.
And it says Giddyup, Jeff Browning. Bronco.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing better than that.
I know.
So I think that's it, right?
I think so.
We're wrapping up show 100.
Thanks,
kind of
guys.
a monumental show.
It's pretty amazing.
With Mr. 100.
I know.
Right?
Thanks.
Especially for the past, because again, man, we came in your little office.
Mm-hmm.
So cool.
It was. I was excited we were going to do
Cowbell from UTMB.
Yeah.
His Bear 100 plaque and a multitude of other things. And there was even a package that's been delivered.
Yeah.
Right? That you showed us.
Yep.
From WS sweatpants.
Sweatpants.
So you'll have to check
I'm gonna
that out.
rock the pants, man.
Western states.
And then they'll move on to someone else.
Yep. Then they move on. So, yeah, thanks for inviting us up to your home. Awesome spot.
It is.
Yeah,
It's sweet.
thanks.
Welcome
Thanks.
to Utah.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations
Yeah,
on...
well, Utah's been awesome so far. Everyone's super friendly. I love it.
Well, I'd like to think we are,
You guys are.
for the most part.
Yeah.
You get... Yeah, it's
What
a
is the
friendly
official
place.
name? Utahns?
I have no idea.
Utahns, I guess.
Utards?
Like in Oregon was Oregonians. I didn't know if there's a.
Oh.
I think it's Utahns. Utahns. Utahns.
know.
That's what it is. It is now. I
It
just
is
started
now. We
it.
just made it up.
Yeah, and we can do that on episode 100. Great show, great information. If you're looking for a coach, if you're interested in, especially adding that extra tool of OFM, man,
Right.
We'll have Jeff's information. Hit him up, talk to him, see if that's the right fit for you.
Right.
Also, check out the running camps he's got coming up because those sound just a blast. I'm already going to go home and check it out when I get there. Congratulations again on the past couple years.
Thank you.
Welcome to
Yeah.
Utah.
Thank
Time
you.
to unwind a little bit before the snow hits, unpack, get everything ready, and we hope to get you back on and see you soon.
Yeah. I'm gonna chase some powder this winter.
There you go.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to episode 100 of the Trail Manners podcast. We'd like to thank Jeff Browning for taking the time to sit down with us today. And we want to encourage everybody to head over to gobroncobilly.com. That's Jeff's website there where you can check out his coaching stuff, all the cool things he's got going on, as well as his sponsors. We also want to encourage everybody to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Trail Manners, or swing by the website at trailmanners.com. There on the store page, you can still get hooked up with a limited edition Boco beanie, where there's other cool gear here heading into the holidays. You can look on the contact page, let us know what you want to see, who you want to hear, or even if you would like to be on the show. Until next time, this is Eric Manning with Joe Hatch reminding you, you don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for. Now go get it.